Oh hey, I didn't see you there. You know, because of your camera. Yeah, normally I would jump right into talking about Wave 5 of the Booster Course Pass, but kind of busy at the moment hosting a funeral, so if you want to take a seat, I'm just going to say a few words. Thank you all for coming here today. I wasn't expecting such a great turnout. We're here today to mourn the loss of something great, something elegant, something with a cool as water slide made out of glass. It was simply its time. Please join me in commemorating Wii Koopa Cape, joining the other botched Mario Kart Wii ports. You will be missed. Please join me today in watching this short 15-minute video I prepared. Please like and subscribe, shut the up while watching, and there will be no water allowed during the ceremony to honour the fallen.
Wave 5 has officially hit. We're approaching the end of the Booster Course Pass now, so we once again ask, will Wave 5 continue to up the quality, or have we already reached the peak? Well, with 3 more tour tracks, a surprise with Moonview Highway, a Koopa Cape port from Mario Kart Tour that was dead sooner before it released in the Wii U was, and a delightful looking bathroom track based on an asset leak that sounded really f***ing stupid, but might actually be good anyway. We'll find out if this wave is really as mixed as it sounds. But maybe it can push past the stigma of tour city courses and unfinished textures to be a near perfect wave regardless. It can, it's actually a really good wave. Tour Athens Dash embodies the duality of man, at least in the visuals. For those who know me in this series at this point, I continually have a bone to pick with the artistic integrity of these tracks. This is because they're ported from Mario Kart Tour, the mobile Mario Kart game, and will skimp out on quality textures or complicated background designs that we've seen they're capable of nearly a decade ago. Now we've started to see continued improvement until now, still not perfect, but I believe far more acceptable than before. But some of it does still leak through, most notably in anything naturalistic, being trees, rock, grass or mountains, and the city tour tracks. But Athens Dash has some really nice texturing going on, and its ancient era architecture scattered all over the place, looking quite nice overall when up close to the track, but then randomly far away we see the funny clay world. But you know what? This track is tons of fun anyway. We're deep into the reign of the good tour tracks that I've been telling you guys would come. The design of this track in particular though, as aforementioned with the ancient era architecture, makes this city super unique, with huge jumps to take down a really creative cityscape, tricks all over the place, history to gawk at, caves to drive through, flying all over the place. This track is great. I especially love the part where you're dodging boulders and hitting dash panels. It's mainly a standout to me because it isn't just city streets the whole time, it's super unique and fun for it, and I could see it just being a blast online. And I love the increasing use of half pipes across Wave 5 ever since they were introduced in Wave 3. If you can use them right, they can be great for speed or items, maybe a bit unnecessary at times, but I definitely appreciate it overall. Damn, our Double Dash fans finally eating well after starving in the corner for a year. GCN Daisy Cruiser is a delightfully faithful remake of the track, functioning essentially the exact same as it did in Mario Kart 7, but with one of the best visual upgrades I've seen in the entire Booster Course Pass. This may be closest to the base game we've ever gotten, it's just clean and nice. It's got textures for everything, there are NPCs to sit on the tables as they slide around the dining area now, Goomba's just chilling in the pool, and the arrangement of the theme is so cozy. I've always been fond of this track, but I'm overjoyed they've been able to port it so faithfully and added a ton of charm in the process. It's nothing too crazy, maybe Base 8 could have added something extra to it, but honestly it really doesn't need it. It might just be forcing gimmicks at that point. It has the underwater engine room from 7 with some item boxes to snag between snapping clams and a double item box on the way out, and the 2 paths opened up at the beginning just add some choice to the track. There really isn't much else to say on Daisy Cruiser, I'm very happy with it. And we continue this amazing cup with Wii Moonview Highway. Now as your resident Mario Kart Wii track nerd expert, I was very surprised to see this track return, and very skeptical as well. This course is one of the better traffic courses to ever exist in Mario Kart, because it had the balls to actually have an interesting track layout to go alongside the idea of dodging traffic. Blind turns, crazy flips off of cliff sides over a beautiful view of a moonlit lake, but it also had typical Australian drivers that would hit the gas once crossing through to the highway and change lanes like crazy, causing pure chaos in the track. It also had the funny bomb cars. Sadly, the City of Moonview Highway's council has stepped in and prohibited speeding and erratic lane changes, and also seemingly wiped half the population because it is far less dense with traffic now. But somehow, the automobiles that are literally mobile explosives continue to bypass regulation, which is really nice to see reintroduced for this track specifically. The track is still a lovely remake regardless of the easier traffic, with dash panels for speed, a stunning city with beaming lights, a lovely view of the moon, and the shortcuts with item boxes up here still intact. And when you play with real life players, adding to the traffic themselves with the way more frequent and double items of 8 Deluxe, it is still a great time of a track. Not the most complicated track layout out there, but a great traffic course in particular, so with all of that combined, Moonview Highway is a blast and quite a good remake. And the phenomenal remix of the song with a hectic pace to it, and the jazzy variant for the highway returning, also contribute to the course terrifically. So to round out the Feather Cup is Squeaky Clean Sprint, making its debut in the Booster Course Pass as a Nitro track. And this track solidifies Feather Cup as probably one of the best cups in this entire game. Wow, this track surprised me, even after we saw it highlighted in the recent Nintendo Direct. I was worried it'd just be a boring circle, but with super polished visuals, pun intended, with heaps of Easter eggs, super fun hazards to dodge, crazy alternate cuts and routes for items, and a super energetic theme to shoot you around through all the different crazy parts of the course, it's a delight. It's got some wonderful creativity to it, tricking off of bath bombs in a filled up bathtub, getting sucked into a tightly packed, fast flowing drain with items shooting throughout, with a giant ring and a bunch of screws lost in the toilet. It's got slippery physics with soap spilt everywhere, half pipes, and the ability to trick off of toilet water on the second lap ending to take a shortcut through a shelf and glide down to an alternate item route, or fly up next to the windowsill as well. It looks great, it feels great, and it's absolutely shot up to an all-time favorite course of mine in this entire game. I can't believe I'm overselling this course this much. I just really didn't expect it to be this good, and it's absolutely broken this pass to a whole other level of quality. Now to interject in the middle with the usual extra features they add, this time being 3 new characters introduced in this wave, Petey Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek. These characters are all technically returning characters from previously in the series, Kamek notably from Mario Kart Tour, and they're just as expressive and as iconic as you'd hope. Far more iconic than Pink Gold Peach or the Mario Cannon destroying Baby Rosalina could ever be. Absolutely ruins a lovely part of Mario Galaxy's stupid ass baby. Thank God we got her instead of Diddy Kong! Wiggler is a bit of a wild pick for this wave, but I definitely don't hate him being here. He's quite funny to see driving, and a very unique pick, obviously. You can get Wiggler and the Wiggler car at the same time to celebrate Wiggler Wednesday. I love that his animation when he gets hit is the same as what it is for the mainland Mario games, becoming all red and angry. Petey Piranha is just a cool looking behemoth of a boss from Mario Sunshine, and he's always been fun to see around, making his first playable mainline appearance since Double Dash. And then there's the Mario Kart legend of Kamek, who was originally going to be in Mario Kart 64 and base game Mario Kart 8 in 2014, but clearly Nintendo's priorities lay with more important characters like the frickin' babe. He's Bowser's right hand man and is a magic Koopa. It's great to have him. He's an awesome middleweight for me to swap in when I feel like swapping off Luigi once in a blue moon. They of course also made the usual random kart and character stat adjustments, but also lowered the frequency of getting mirror and 200cc races online, which is great because I just do not want those very often when I log on for some regular Mario Kart with friends. I can't say I've ever had the itch to just hop on for some mirror mode especially. I don't think anyone has. They also fixed the red shell warnings going off even if they're not targeting you, and extended the range and the warning for red and blue shells as well, just so you can live in fear some more. Now with the remaining 2 character slots, I can realistically see any of Pauline, Diddy Kong, and Funky Kong. Pauline is pushed a lot lately in Mario content like Odyssey, the movie, the sports games, and making a Mario Kart debut in Tour as the first new character for that game. Diddy Kong was in Double Dash and Wii and is constantly appearing alongside Donkey Kong, except in this game, I think it's straight up criminal that he isn't here. If Diddy isn't added, I don't know, I'll take a crap on the public road outside. He's 100% getting in, which just leaves Funky. Sadly, he's probably the least likely to be added of these 3. At first. But being the statistically best Mario character in Mario Kart Wii, a fan favorite Mario Kart game, has kinda given him a bit of a legacy in Mario Kart, infamously crashing the Mario Kart Tour servers the day he was added to the game. I'm personally of the opinion that Diddy and Funky should undoubtedly be the remaining 2 characters that are added. That's just who I want, but if we get more female representation, I won't complain much either. But my wish would create objectively the best Mario Kart character roster of all time, with everyone from Wii, which is its competition because it has Funky Kong. And that about wraps up my rant on why I really want Diddy and Funky Kong, not Diddy and Pauline. There is no third option. If you think this will genuinely happen, you're on a list. Can't wait for the characters to be only one or straight up none of these. Now, off of the character rant, we jump right back into Tour Los Angeles Laps. This track is a pretty solid Tour one. I'd say probably not my favorite, but of course visually, it's pretty nice. Not perfect with some rather basic building designs, but especially this beachside drive off of Santa Monica Pier, I love the beach aesthetic, it was really nice. The track does have a lot to it, essentially being a section track, flying through Dodger Stadium and an oil rig. Nothing that's interwoven into the actual track design very heavily for 50% of the time, however. I think it's pretty good, but the remix is a tad weird. And that's kind of my thoughts on Los Angeles Laps, a few bits of downtime, but otherwise quite enjoyable. Now, GBA Sunset Wilds. It's pretty nice looking, got some cute Shy Guys dancing around, a nice orange sunset, fairly simple track layout, but who can complain when it has the wonderful track gimmick it's always historically had, where each time you enter into a new lap, the sun lowers a little bit. It starts orange, then goes to a nice pink, and then the deep blue of the night. It's gorgeous, and of course Tour does it too. So being a port from there, obviously it's here too. It's not. I don't know why it's not, the main defining feature, just not there. A nice stroll through the red sand of the desert under a fading light into the cold night. But nope, they forgot it. So you might just be wondering, if the main gimmick of Sunset Wilds is gone, just what could the appeal of this track possibly be? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is such a letdown because graphically, the course is nice, it has funny dancing Shy Guys, and the music is great, but with quite a basic, not awful, but very basic track design, the sunset changing would have brought it all home so nicely. This track sadly just ends up being the biggest Mario Kart 8 controversy since Bowser took a nice drive through Electrodrome with the Koopalings. It's a shame, making this wave just slightly less perfect now, and this somewhat continues into our next track, Wii Koopa Cape. Seeing this track in Tour years ago, I was not impressed. The colour palette has been absolutely destroyed, replacing the cool grey of the mountainside to a dirt brown, apparently the only colour they know how to use for the fucking mountains. They literally always look the same, and naturalism continues to persist as the worst looking aspect of the Booster Course Pass style, and now really only bit of contention I have with these tracks' visuals at this point. The River Rapids section now has this ugly yellow and black construction tape on the sides, and it's been dramatically shortened. It used to be cyan and gold, and working with the grey of the mountain, it came together so well. It also just looks like Plastic World again. With it being shortened, it gives a super rough turn straight into some rocks here, where you had way more distance in the original to be able to dodge it. They also removed ramps for literally no reason, like the one that was there. What is cool is that they have a funny sounding remix for the water rushing section, which is a pretty nice extra detail they didn't need to add, especially with our next section also having its own unique style of a tranquil underwater direction instead, which just sounds beautiful. These three unique renditions really emphasize all the variety this course continues to offer, even despite being lesser than the original course in Wii. But this underwater section once again has been drastically shortened for some reason, and is all flooded like the change in Mario Kart 7 that no one likes or asks to return. We want the lightning that shrinks you back. It added an actual challenge, trying to keep the speed of the rushing water while dodging the electricity, unlike now where it's just an underwater fest with people bashing into each other in an anti-grav section. It being anti-grav does add some level of excitement back to it from 7, but it just isn't as creative, whereas we've seen plenty of anti-grav done in so many other tracks. It's unnecessary to remove what makes this track unique, even if they add things like the random half pipe alongside it to try and keep it interesting, which does help, but only slightly once again. To some extent, it is still a lot of fun. At least the underwater area does look pretty nice. It's still fast and I still enjoy playing it whenever I do, but it's not as difficult or aesthetically pleasing, which is extremely disappointing. Now to end it off, Tour Vancouver Velocity, my personal favourite Tour city track that I was very keen to see reintroduced into 8. A huge contributor to that is the music and the theme of the city as a whole, taking races through wintry woods and a nightfallen city. It adds a nice bit of anti-gravity through the suspension bridge, an idea I once saw in a custom track before the Booster Course Pass was even announced, but was surprised regardless to see that they actually did it, instead of your standard direct port without a care. It goes through a park, an ice rink, a tunnel. It's nothing especially intense, but I find it relaxing. There's not much else to say once again with the tour cities, but it has some nice set pieces that don't just rely on boring city streets, and a visual style and theme with the cold Vancouver night to bring it all together really nicely with autumn trees and the winter pine trees, so lots of visual variety throughout. I love the deep forest and the ice rink and the nice little park you go through. It's just a pleasant course. That all being said, this wave was consistently great, excluding Koopa Cape, Sunset Wilds, and the visuals of Athens Dash. Cherry Cup was definitely an inferior follow-up to Feather Cup, but the tracks aren't horrible at all, even with those mistakes. Sunset Wilds is probably the absolute lowest point, by a mile, but nothing else comes to close to being like that. But, with that said, I'll be back next time to end off this whole thing with Wave 6. Here's to hoping for Wii Rainbow Road, and please for Funky Kong.
So everyone, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please ignore the crazy guy in the window outside. He's not really there.
You're all just blind to the truth. You'll see. You'll all see.